Hi, thanks everyone. I won't speak for too long because it's getting a little damper than it was when we started. I'm not here as MC, so I won't do a wrap up of the event. But I know in hearing the other speakers that I'm really impressed that people were able to touch on different facets of homophobia and transphobia, because I think it's a very complex problem and a complex issue. So to have Megan drawing our attention to some of the more legal and policy issues where we see discrimination manifest, and to have Hugo focus our attention on violence, and to have Jake focusing our attention on some of the more everyday interactions that aren't, blatantly discriminatory or blatantly violent, but still show the influence of homophobia and transphobia. I think it was a great way of showing how multifaceted the problem is, and I hope that you walk away from the event just thinking about it as complex as the speakers presented it. What I wanted to talk about was just a little bit on the theme of hope. Not to say it too ostentatiously, but I don't like attending these events and then walking away feeling depressed and morose about the nature of the problem. What I hoped I could touch on was some things that we all could do, whether we're activists, lawyers, whether we're involved actively in policy, or whether we're just trying to be better people in our lives. Some things that we could all do to combat the problem of homophobia and transphobia in day-to-day life. And what I want to say, there are 3 strategies that I'd recommend for doing that. The first is to be out, and that could mean if you're gay or lesbian, bi or transgendered. It could mean being a little bit more open about your life, about who you are. Even those of us who think that we've been out of the closet for a long time still can surprise ourselves by the need to be more out, or the discomfort we sometimes feel about talking about the reality of our lives. Even if you're not a member of the rainbow community, but you're an ally who supports the cause against fighting against homophobia and transphobia, be open about the fact that you're a supporter of the cause. Be open about the fact that there are gays and lesbians, transgendered people in your family, among your friends. Don't be shy about talking about the issues. Don't be shy about going back to work this afternoon and telling people what you did over your lunch break. I think it's as much about naming being open about the existence of a diverse community, so that people continue to think about it. And I think we know that homophobia and transphobia thrive in environments where people aren't challenged to think about it, and people aren't challenged to realize that this affects real people. So first one is to be out. The second is to be informed. You will get into discussions if you're sensitive to issues of homophobia and transphobia. You'll get into discussions around things like the Canadian Blood Services policy. You'll get into discussions about the role of diversity education in our schools. You see, there's a political issue in Alberta right now where conservative politicians want basically parents to be able to pull their kids out of the school so that they don't have to hear anything about diversity positive messages. You'll hear all sorts of debates around that. Know the facts. Don't feel like you have to walk away from those debates feeling like you couldn't defend your position. So learn more about the Blood Services policy. Learn more about what's going on in the education system. Learn more about the realities of transgendered people and the healthcare realities that they're facing. Learn about the issues so that when you have the opportunity to engage in these conversations, you can seem intelligent and you can really bring the position to people that you're interacting with. And third, be out, be informed, be compassionate. And this is really what I want to drive home. The goal of International Day Against Homophobia and Transphobia is not to start labeling more people homophobes and running away. It's not to be on the attack. The goal in combating homophobia and transphobia, the goal is to open dialogue and really to encourage people to change their minds. or to broaden their minds in the way that they think about the diverse community that they live in. So it's important to recognize homophobia, but it's also important to not be on the attack against people with whom we disagree. You know, when faced with hatred, the most important weapon is love. So, you know, learn to be supportive of the gay and lesbian community and transgendered people, but also learn to really think about the realities of the people who oppose it. So if someone's coming from a deeply held religious belief, or someone's coming from a very sheltered environment, whatever it might be that's motivating their homophobia or transphobia, make an effort to identify with it. Don't dismiss a person just because you don't think that they're open-minded enough. Your job is to encourage them to be more open-minded, and you don't do that by shutting down and by labeling people. So what I would encourage us all to do is be more compassionate when we're dealing with people who exhibit homophobia and transphobia. Understand that it's a learning process for them as well, and that our job is as much to educate and to draw them into dialogue as it is just to name and shame homophobia. So that's as close to a message of hope I think that I can give you to try and take this struggle into your everyday life. Be out, be informed, and be compassionate. And with that, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak as well.
That concludes the speaking portion of our gathering today. I want to thank you all so much for being here. It's a tremendous act of love that you're all gathered in this square today. And Kevin is so right, that the single best weapon against hate, against homophobia, is love. And the more we love ourselves, the more we love each other, the stronger our community will be. Thank you all so much.